the rollout, the visuals, the concepts, it was just a little lazy, especially for her to be such a seasoned artist. I don't want it to just feel like you're just throwing something at the wall and seeing if it sticks. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Okay, today we are going to be doing Hit Me Hard and Soft by Billie Eilish, her most recent album. We are going to be getting to the vibes, okay? The visuals, the intent, the beats, the effort, and the sales. Let's get to it. So, I hate to have to start the video off like this, but the visuals were very lazy. But that's not part of the course when you're talking about Billie Eilish. She has very like simple, stripped down, you know, having fun in a random location or having fun in front of like a white screen type of vibes from most of her music videos, even in the past. So that's nothing new. It kind of just seems like she stuck to the formula that, you know, she's always stuck to. But let's start with the Lunch music video. It was broken down, so she had multiple takes, the main video and then like 3 other takes that were pretty similar to the, you know, first video was her with different cool outfits on in front of a white screen with the fisheye lens, giving us look, giving us butch queen, giving us a little bit of bisexual. Listen, the theme of bisexual is popping up a lot in a lot of the girlies' music this upcoming go around. She's dressed in very minimal makeup. Her regular like streetwear, you know, she loves that style of look. So like nothing out of the ordinary for like a Billie Eilish, like, you know, vibe. But like, you know, when somebody's like aging or giving us a new era or something like that, you kind of want to see a little bit of something new. I'm not saying she had to pop out and become a girly girl like a Barbie or anything like that, but like, you know, let's try something a little different, you know? So for her visuals, she also did quote unquote live performances at the Kia Forum for every song on the album. Again, this was like very lazy and kind of boring to watch for the YouTube watcher, but it was probably really fun to see live. Like it's probably really fun to see Billie Eilish live. I tried to get some of her tickets, they sold out so fast. So maybe next go around I'll be able to see her live. But like for the person watching on YouTube, it was pretty boring to just watch her run around in a circle in this big dirt pit. So it was really lazy. And then we only got one other music video. I will say one of my favorite live performances from this album was on Stephen Colbert. I love her and her brother's energy together. Their dynamic is so beautiful as brother and sister. So like watching that play out live never gets old. So like I really did enjoy that performance. And Miss Mamas can sing. Like the mic is always on. And I love her very angelic voice. So like, you know, it's no complaints there. That was definitely my favorite live performance. Now we have the Shahiro music video, which I enjoyed a lot more because it was a lot more storyline. It kind of reminded me or was reminiscent of the constant cycles that we go through with people that we're romantically involved with. It reminded me a lot of like that toxic push and pull that a lot of us have experienced in relationships. So it was like really relatable and beautiful to the eye to watch, like the low level lighting, the changes of scenery, the very blank or empty open backgrounds that left a lot for the interpretation. This one was like a lot more art rich, and I really enjoyed this music video the most out of all the visuals that I've seen for this album. It's like at the height of the song and the visual climax, where it was like the most toxic. You see the next like shot of them is them running off laughing hand in hand. And I think that that's reminiscent of a lot of the cycles that we experience, not only in romantic relationships, but just in relationships in general, with people kind of going back and forth between good and bad and hot and cold like it's a Sour Patch Kid. There's a lot of symbolism of like freedom and you know, identifying oneself, and just like a lot of really like cute themes and beautiful themes that we love to see play out in art. I wish for this album she did more of what she did in Shahiro. Don't quote me, I'm not really sure how to pronounce it, but I wish she did a lot more of that than what she did in the previous visuals and in the Lunch music video. Those were a little lazy in my opinion. The intent of this album was a very big girl album, like the subject matter, the production, majority of the visuals. This was like grown and sexy for a Billie Eilish who, you know, we're used to playing around and being very youthful and playful. This was like a little bit more serious, a little bit more melodramatic, on the more melodramatic side. And it had a lot more like grown-up themes. I kind of enjoyed that. This album had a lot of the normal formulaic sounds that we're used to from her and Phineas, but with some like really fire 808s in it. Like, it gave like I'm grown, I'm sexy, and like whether it was a slow song or a faster paced song, I feel like I could do like, you know, the sexy white girl dance to like the whole album. And I really like that it's cohesive in that way. Even though the album comes off slow, like it's slow paced like most of her albums are, even for an upbeat song, if there are not DJs out there that are spinning this over top of other music, they're missing out. Because this album has so much potential to be spun into some really, 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 really cool DJ sets. So I hope people are listening to this album and really hearing it for like the value that it gives. Now, I do understand why her core fan base may not have liked this album as much, because I did see a lot of like back and forth on social media about it, because the sound does kind of take risk in ways that we haven't heard her take in the past. Some like alternative early 2000s like, you know, soft rock in there. You hear a little bit of R&B, which you always hear in her music, so that's nothing new. But you mix it with like those dance undertones, like type undertones, like, you know, like the party rock era. You can hear some of that kind of layered in the underneath of this album. They did take some risks, some things that we haven't heard from Billie Eilish before. So I can get why some people didn't really take to it or gravitate to it, but I always suggest that people listen to an album more than one time, because then you'll find that you may like it a little bit more. One thing I suggest to all music listeners, especially when it comes to your fave, when they drop a new album, try not to have too many expectations for what you expect to sound. Go into it with an open ear and an open mind, because a lot of times your favorite artist is just trying to give you a piece of like who they are and where they are now. And that's something about this album that I can say. I was like feeling like I was kind of getting like a pure eye view into the depths of like where she is in her humanhood, her personhood, her sexuality. And it was like nice to see her like grown up. My favorite song off the album, undoubtedly Shihiro. That's my girl. That's my favorite visual, that's my favorite song, that's my favorite production. But we'll get to the beats next. Phineas O'Connell will go down in history as one of the best producers to ever do it. His ear for composition, arrangement, his connection to his sister's voice as an instrument is so beautiful, and I love the way he brings music to life. His use and knowledge of the classic way that instruments are played. He doesn't just lean on technology, which you do hear him use, but he doesn't just lean on that. And that raw understanding of how to bring music to life is lost on a lot of producers. And that's why so much music isn't really landing like it used to back in the day. It's almost like he is just adding Billie's voice to the music as another instrument. That's just how it reads to the ear. The production on this album is absolutely beautiful. I'm curious to see if Billie would be willing to work with other producers in the future, or if she'll just stick to the same formula that has always worked in working with her brother as a duo, or maybe they'll continue to work as a duo and bring in other producers. But either way, her and Phineas, blessed. Now, the effort put into this album is probably my biggest critique of this album. There was a 3 or 4 year gap between her last piece of work and this body of work, and she said this one was a little bit harder for her to get out. She struggled to like really get into studio and flesh this album out, so I understand that. But the rollout, the visuals, the concepts, it was just a little lazy, especially for her to be such a seasoned artist. I don't want it to just feel like you're just throwing something at the wall and seeing if it sticks. I would have rather her taken more time on the album if that's what she needed, versus just kind of just giving us whatever she had. And that's my biggest knock. The effort just did not feel like it was there. But otherwise, it was a solid album. So now let's get into the sales. This was actually Billie Eilish's first time not going #1, but she did have the highest first week sales during that time frame. So that means that people were still anticipating this album and people still wanted to listen. And I have to be honest with you guys, being able to still move units to that degree in the streaming era is a huge accomplishment for any artist. So Billboard reports the album moves 339,000 units in its first week of release, over 100,000 more than the 2021's Happier Than Ever, while also charting all 10 of its tracks on the Billboard Hot 100 dated June 1st, led by the number 5 Boeing Lunch, the highest debuting song of her career. Wow, that's kind of surprising that number 5 is her highest debuting. Nonetheless, the album still moved, okay? So I think a lot of it was anticipation, people waiting for her to release new music, even if it was not received as well as people would have loved it to be, received. I think sometimes that anticipation does play a negative role in the way people receive an album after a while of not hearing from their fave. So what is my overall rating of this album? I'll give it a 3.5 out of 5. Don't do me in, y'all, but that's just my honest opinion. It was a solid piece of work. I enjoyed majority of the songs on the album, regardless of whether or not I enjoyed the song or the subject matter. The production was gorgeous. I just, when we talk about the vibes, y'all, it's all the things. It's not just one of the things. And when you add it all together, it was given closer to a 3, but I'm gonna give it a 3.5 because it's my girl Billie and I love her down. I just hope that she does not feel rushed in the future to put out music. If anything, just keep pushing your older albums, older songs, keep engaging with your fans, maybe drop a single here and there. But if you need time to flesh out a work, I'm personally the type of fan, I don't give a fuck how much time you need. Okay, if Rihanna was to drop an album today, baby, I'd be first in line to go listen. Do you understand? So you guys let me know what you think about Billie Eilish's most recent album down in the comment section. What would you guys rate it?